Welcome to Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails Whitetail Watch. This is a new series that we're going to be producing every Wednesday where we look ahead to the coming weekend and talk about the activity that we can expect, how we're going to hunt, some of the, I guess, tips that we might be able to offer going into the weekend. So the format's going to be talking about what we've been seeing, what the weather forecast is, and Jordan and I are standing out in the rain right now, but we're going to talk about the forecast for the weekend and then what we're going to be doing, and then a few tips on, what the viewer can do as well to kind of fall into line. Behavior of the deer is super important, and that's always going to be one of the key things that we talk about. Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails is brought to you by Redneck Blinds, Code of Silence Apparel, Hunt Stand Pro Whitetail, Fuse Accessories, Elevate Tree Stands, B3 Releases and Broadheads, and Hoyt. We've been seeing less and less daylight activity on the bucks on the farm, and I think that's a normal trend that you can expect this time of the year. Our season doesn't open until Sunday, October 1st, so we haven't been hunting, but we've been watching the trail cameras really close, pulling cards 2 times a week, and the buck that Jordan's going to go after has been showing some daylight activity. The one that I'm going to go after has shown just a tiny little bit, but they're right at the end of legal shooting time. So my fear is that when I pull cards again this afternoon, today's Wednesday, they're going to be completely nocturnal. So that's always what you're going to be up against at this time of the year. People call it the October lull, and we'll dive into that more as we get further into this series, on how that impacts us. But the drop off in daylight activity of the mature bucks is a definite issue that we have to deal with. Also, looking ahead at the weather forecast, I jumped all over the country, and it's going to be hot here. Despite the rain and 65 degrees right now, it's supposed to be in the upper 80s in Iowa with a south wind this weekend. So that's hot for anything, let alone expecting, whitetails to be on their feet. So that's not going to help us, but we're still going to hunt, because one thing about October, it's such a beautiful time of the year. I mean, you got to be in the woods, even if you're not, in your best spots hunting your best deer. So we may end up doing that depending upon what we see on the cameras here. We may not go after these 2 bucks that we've got pegged. And the 2 deer that we're looking for are 100% on acorn patterns. So that's something to look for. There's a lot of acorns on the ground. The deer like the white oak acorns the best. So if you've got an area with white oak acorns and you don't mind taking a little bit of risk and going in there, that would be a good strategy for this weekend, despite the warmer temperatures. They will still feed. They're still going to get on their feet. They may not cover a big area, like they might if it was cooler.
Do you think the warmer weather will push them to be more nocturnal than they would be otherwise too?
Yeah, they don't like the heat because they're starting to get their winter coats.
Right.
So if you think about it in human terms, if you put on clothes that was warm enough that you could sleep on top of the snow without melting it, and then you ran around when it was 85 or 90 degrees out, that wouldn't be very comfortable. No. So that's kind of what they're dealing with, because they're starting to get their winter coats. And it's going to become difficult to find those deer during daylight when it's super hot like this, because it's just too hot for them. But they're still coming off the summer patterns, so it's still maybe a little bit ingrained in them. So I wouldn't completely shy away from it, especially if you've got a buck on a daylight pattern on camera. You've got to hunt him. That's a definite green light. And we're going to go no matter what, even if we're hunting, secondary kind of locations and just trying to shoot does. Every chance we get, we're going to hunt, because it's just so beautiful. I mean, there are so many cold days, and I can tolerate some cold, not as good as I could when I was younger, but those aren't Jordan's favorites.
I will not be tolerating that.
So fortunately, we do have the blinds that we can stick Jordan into if we need to on those really cold days. But anyway, the point is, October is the time to celebrate. Be out in the field, be in the tree, enjoy that fresh, breeze coming off the hills, and the smell of the leaves rotting on the ground. And it's just an awesome time to be out there. Boy, the rain's picking up again. So the shower passed, and we're back to talking about what we're going to do this weekend. And I think we've pretty well summarized it. As long as we can keep some confidence that the 2 bucks that we're after, our 2 targets, are on some kind of a daylight pattern, we'll give them a try. But we're not going to push it. We're not going to hunt a bad situation. We're not going to go deeper into where they bed in the hopes of finding them in the day. Not on this farm this early in the season. I think if we were hunting public land, that'd be a different story. We might take a little bit more risk then because you have that element of competition involved. So I want to hear from the other guys here in the team and see what other plans are in the works, and then we'll wrap it up. So Ethan, he's hanging around the set here, and so what have you got going on for this weekend? Are you going to hunt? I mean, opening day?
Yeah, I'm going to hunt. I don't have any bucks showing any sort of daylight activity, so I'm just going to go after does, hunt food sources, and try to be as least intrusive as possible.
So what do you think about that buck with the flyer? Have you had cameras back in there that you could peg him, or are you still waiting on that bigger one?
Still waiting on the bigger one because I think he's significantly bigger than that deer.
Yeah.
But he's still a cool buck. I kind of put 3 or 4 cameras out to like really hone in on that flyer buck too, just to see if I can identify exactly where he's bedding.
And I think that's what we're going to see through October. We're going to see bucks still filtering into their fall ranges. Some of these mature bucks that we're finding aren't going to be daylight active until that last week. So we just got to keep monitoring, be patient, and don't, like I said, don't play a bad hand, or don't bet heavily on it for sure, So no, that's a good plan. Patience is definitely going to pay off for you in the long run. It'll be fun to see if you can find that Big 10 back.
I know, he's giant. So, and he should be really, really big as long as he didn't die. I would imagine he's going to filter back in there. I hung some cameras for him. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So anyway, that's another big part of October. So now we got the interns. We've got Alex and we've got Carson, and we'll let these guys pop into the shot. Move in here where we can get you on camera. So what have you guys got planned? I know, just to kind of summarize it, Alex is hunting Minnesota public land because he doesn't have an Iowa residency. And you couldn't because of school, right? Because of in-state tuition in college.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's coming from Michigan. So he's hunting Minnesota public, and then Carson is hunting some Iowa private and some Iowa public, right?
Yep.
And so let us know kind of what you guys have in the works and what your thoughts are for the weekend.
Well, I've been hunting here and there a little bit. We actually got permission to walk on through some farms, and we've been bouncing around the edges of the public land. But there's been a lot of squirrel hunting pressure, so it's been really tough to get any kind of a buck on a pattern. So we've just been bouncing around the edges, hunting acorns, trying to hunt food sources. We've struggled so far. We're going to keep hunting a little bit here and there, just try to, be cautiously aggressive. Like you said, with the public land, we feel like we can get in there and, try to get on a buck early. Not worried about blowing them out, but we definitely haven't had luck so far. So.
Well, they're getting blown out anyway, by the squirrel hunters.
Right.
So you being a little bit more aggressive now isn't quite as big of a deal because they're kind of used to that cycle. So what about you, Carson? What do you got planned?
I think Sunday I'll probably try to sit opening night, maybe on the edge of an alfalfa field, probably just hunt for does unless a buck shows up on that field. I just haven't had a lot of daylight activity. I have 2 pretty decent bucks on public land, but they've just been, pretty nocturnal throughout what I've been checking that camera. And then the same thing with one spot of private that I've been trying to monitor. Everything's just been really dark. So I think I'll probably just kind of sit the edges and hope to get a doe or 2 down.
Well, I think that's kind of the rule of thumb for October.
Yeah.
I think if you can get into early September, mid-September, you can catch a lot more daylight activity, but you get into that first part of October and you're dealing with a lot of nocturnal bucks.
Yeah.
So, if there's a takeaway here, and we'll wrap it up, is focus on being cautious unless you're hunting in an area where there's a reason to be aggressive, like competition from other hunters or whatever. So that's going to be, the patience is going to be a virtue at this time. Wait for some daylight activity. Focus on acorns as much as you can. I mean, there's a lot of action coming to the oak trees right now. So that was a guest appearance from our pack, leader of the pack, Bentley there. But well, we appreciate you joining us, and good luck this weekend. We're excited about this new series, so check back every Wednesday. These 2 guys right here, if it's good, I'll take some of the credit, but if it's bad, it's these 2 guys. No, they're the ones doing it. So it's a cool project for the interns, and we'll put them onto some more stuff before the year is out. But producing this and even uploading a podcast. Where are we going to put that podcast, guys? Do you have it in
I think
mind?
we're going to probably do, I don't know, Apple Music and Spotify.
Spotify, yeah.
Probably be the 2 platforms we're thinking.
So we're just going to call it Whitetail Watch Podcast, and that might be something you can grab too. It's going to be this exact format. All we're doing is pulling the audio off this and posting it, for a podcast. So we appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you right back here again next Wednesday evening for the next episode of Whitetail Watch, right here at Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. And remember to always, all of you guys,
Dream big.
That's right.